Hey girl gang, it's Dr. Joy here and you are watching Delivering Joy MD TV. Welcome to Well Woman Wednesday, where I am starting a new series and I know you want to be all in for this one. Yes, ladies, today is the introduction to menopause. So I have been getting a lot of requests from my ladies of a certain age to talk about menopause, and you know I am going to take a deep dive into this and I'm going to talk all about it. So today I'm going to just kind of introduce the topic and talk about some of the things that we are going to cover in this series. So make sure you keep watching for all the details. All right, girls, come on in my office, honey. Let's talk about menopause. So menopause is probably one of the least understood phenomenons in gynecology. Honestly, it's not really well taught in medical school, and even in OBGYN training programs, it's not really well taught. So when I first got into practice, it was something that I really had to learn a lot about, and I'm still learning a lot about it. So in this series, you want to make sure that you are subscribed, because I'm going to be bringing in the expert folks that I call when I have a question about menopause. So there's going to be lives that are going to be going on up in here. So you're going to get to meet some of the experts that I call and ask about hormone replacement therapy, the people that I ask about different treatment options. So make sure you stay tuned for this series, because it's about to be a whole situation going on up in here, because I'm going to be bringing in lots of special guests. So first, let's just deal with what menopause actually is. So menopause is when your cycles stop for at least 12 months naturally on their own, not because you have some other health condition or because you're on some other kind of medication. So, you know, for my folks who might be dealing with polycystic ovarian syndrome, or who might have some other medical issue going on, that does not mean that you're going through menopause. Menopause generally, on average, is going to happen at about age 51 and a half. So about 51 and a half is the average age. Some women may go through menopause a little earlier. Some folks may go through menopause a little bit later, but that is the average age, 51, and actually it's 51.4 years, but you know, 51 and a half sounds easier to remember. So anything less than 40 years is actually considered abnormal. That is what we call primary ovarian insufficiency or primary ovarian failure, because menopause itself is actually when your ovaries are depleted of eggs. That means that you no longer have eggs in the ovaries. And we went through birth control ad nauseum, right? So we know that the egg is housed in the ovaries. And so when your ovaries no longer have eggs, then you go through menopause, because once the ovaries no longer have eggs, you start to be depleted of estrogen, which is one of the primary female hormones. So if you haven't seen this video on periods and pregnancy, I'm going to link that up here, because it just kind of goes through how the whole female reproductive system works, and you can kind of get an idea about how eggs are released each month and how that whole system works. So once we hit menopause, we're no longer producing eggs and ovulating. So that's really kind of what causes us to go into menopause. You stop having cycles and you have what's called an FMP, or final menstrual period. Final menstrual period. And then you don't have a period for a full 12 months, a full consecutive 12 months. So it's not, oh, I had a period and then 3 months later I had another period, and then I didn't have a period for 8 months and then I had a period. So no, it has to be 12 consecutive months with no period. And it has to be natural. So it can't be that you were on continuous birth control pills, or having a NuvaRing in and not taking a week off from your NuvaRing. You just keep putting new one in. Like, it has to be a natural, no periods for 12 consecutive months. And you can't have an underlying medical condition that caused that. Say, for instance, if you were on chemotherapy or something like that and you stopped having periods. So it has to be a naturally occurring cessation of your menstrual periods for 12 consecutive months. So I just want to make that clear because people can be so confused about the definition of menopause. So that's the definition. So like I said, this happens from the depletion of the eggs, and it causes a depletion of estrogen. So there are lots of different hormones that can be involved in the menopausal process, and it is in fact a process that happens in stages. And I was actually reading some research last week that says that it might even actually start in our 30s. So, you know, there's lots of research that's going on, and shout out to the North American Menopausal Society, because a lot of this research is being driven by them and funding from several different sources, so that we're learning more and more about menopause every day. But I am going to be covering in this series the different stages of menopause, which starts with the late reproductive years. And that's, you know, kind of the years when we are kind of getting to the point where we get too old to have babies. I know I shouldn't have said that, but that's really the case. So this is in our late 30s and 40s, where we're kind of getting to that point where it's harder and harder to conceive. So our ovaries are kind of getting to the point where we don't have as much egg reserve. So we don't have as many eggs available to become pregnant anymore. And then we hit what's called the menopausal transition, or perimenopause. That's what we used to refer to as perimenopause, but now we are calling it the menopausal transition. And so that's when we really start to see fluctuations in hormones, and you can start to see menopausal type symptoms like hot flashes, mood swings, vaginal dryness, like brain fog, like all that kind of stuff. So when I cover that phase, we're gonna get down to the nitty-gritty on that. And then menopause itself happens. And so we'll talk about that. And after we've hit those different phases, then I am really going to focus in on the physical changes, the hormonal changes, the health concerns we got to think about when we've been through menopause. I'm going to talk about the sexual concerns, yes, because that's a real big deal. Like the changes our body is going through, the changes our mind is going through, of course, how we see our bodies, how we're feeling, you know, like, so all of that stuff plays a part in our sexual function as mature women. So I'm going to be talking about that. I'm going to be talking about the hormonal replacement therapies that are out there and options for that, and really breaking down some of these past studies that have people very afraid of hormonal replacement, and talking some about what to do if you have some pre-existing medical conditions and you're thinking about hormone replacement. So we're really going to get into that. So I've got a lineup of super guests who are going to help us figure out some of this stuff. In addition, I want to talk about weight gain and how to lose weight after menopause, because that can be a real challenge. And I'm going to bring on some guests to talk about aging, because I think that women really struggle with that. So the physical characteristics of aging, and we're going to talk a little bit about skincare after menopause, and about, you know, the things that can occur when it comes to our skin, our hair, our nails. So we're going to talk about it in depth, up close and personal. So I know you want to be involved in this. If this is your age group, I've had so many folks who are my age or a little older, you know, who are like, hey, when you gonna talk about stuff for grown women? When you gonna talk about stuff for grown women? So this is you. So make sure that you are subscribed and that you hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. So again, this is for my ladies of a certain age, my mature mamas out there who are doing your thing and still looking fabulous. So I want to cover your questions, comments. So make sure you drop those down in the comment section. If you've got a particular question related to menopause, related to aging, related to sex after 50, whatever you want to know about, go ahead and drop that in the comments, because I want to make sure that I address your specific needs during this series, so I can work that on into what I'm talking about. Make sure you are subscribed and that notification bell gets smashed so that you know when these videos go up, so that you don't miss anything. So I hope that you are as excited for this series as I am, and I'm gonna catch you next Wednesday. Peace.